Vivian. She will be giving a speech to inspire, and the title is The 3 Ingredients of Success. And the speech length will be 10 to 12 minutes, and it is project number 10 from the Competent Communicator Program. Our next speaker has owned and managed her own law practice for over 15 years and just enjoyed her best year in 2014. She never could have done it if she didn't find the secret recipe for success. Tonight, she will share with you the 3 key ingredients that make up this recipe. Please welcome Vivian Yokelson.
Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmaster, and all of our guests, I would like to ask you all to close your eyes. Close your eyes and imagine one of the tallest buildings in downtown Los Angeles, perhaps the 32nd floor, huge conference room with glass windows all over, long table in the middle, and on one side of that table, there's a young female attorney with her client attending her first deposition ever. And on the other side of that table is an older, seasoned male attorney. Keep your eyes closed. In the middle of this deposition, for no apparent reason other than to intimidate, the seasoned attorney jumps out of his seat, pounds on the table, and starts spitting, literally spitting, verbal lashes at the young attorney and her client. While your eyes are still closed, each one of you can imagine how the attorney responded. Did she defend herself and her client, or did she freeze in fear? Now open your eyes. Here she is, here I am. No longer young, but 15 years later, and in real life, no longer in your imagination. And I have to admit that that day, I froze. I froze in fear. My heart pounded, much like it is right now. I felt flushed and speechless. I couldn't respond. And I felt completely humiliated in front of my client. So ladies and gentlemen, I want to share with you how that disastrous experience became the seed to my success. I knew after that day that I never again wanted to litigate a case. There were plenty of young attorneys out there that would thrive in that situation. You know, the type A kind that love to posture and think they're right and love to argue. Well, there were plenty of those. So I decided that I would team up with them, and whatever cases I couldn't settle on my own, the ones that had to be litigated, I would associate with them, and they would litigate them for me. And this arrangement worked for many years. And the cases that were litigated, we would split the fees 50-50. Win for everyone. But around 2008, the recession hit, and all the insurance companies changed their business models. They didn't want to settle one case. They wanted to litigate every single one. And suddenly this arrangement, it didn't even pay the bills. So that forced me to change my business model. And I realized I was going to have to start litigating on myself because I couldn't afford to give away 50% of my fee. So in 2010, I joined Toastmasters. And I also signed up for every legal workshop and seminar that you can think of. And in the legal world, the workshops and the seminars, just like law school, you learn by doing, much like we do here. These workshops would put me in confrontational situations so that you could learn by doing. And I thought to myself, I've got many years of experience under my belt. I'm 40 years old. There's no way this grumpy attorney is going to set me off. He's not going to bully me. So here I am in a simulated confrontational situation. And how do I respond? I freeze. I freeze with fear. But why? I can't understand. I'm trying to understand why. Am I not cut out for this? Am I always going to be this mediocre attorney who's going to be beat down by words? I mean, it just can't be. So I couldn't figure out why this was happening, but there was one familiar feeling. And that feeling was that the fear that would arise reminded me of my childhood. Much like when you smell something or you taste something and you go, oh, that reminds me of my childhood. Well, this was one of those triggers for me. And I didn't know what I was going to do. And I will tell you all that it was a trigger because I grew up in a broken home. I had a mentally ill mother who was very abusive. And from as little as I can remember, maybe 5 years old, until age 15, when I ran away from home, every single day, I was told that I was an imbecile. Eres un imbécil, my mother would rage in Spanish. So imagine as a kid growing up in that environment, you learn to survive. And surviving for me meant keep your mouth shut, or else things are going to get worse. So when I realized this, I reflected back on that day with that crazed attorney and realized that the only thing I was hearing was, you're an imbecile. Eres un imbécil. It didn't matter what he was saying. That's what I heard. And I soon realized there isn't a legal workshop or Toastmasters group in the world that's going to help resolve that. Maybe more like long-term psychotherapy. But I needed a fix now. I needed to pay the bills. So as I was wondering what to do, I was lucky enough to come across a wonderful quote by the esteemed poet and civil rights activist Maya Angelou. And Maya said, sorry, I forgot my Maya gave me 3 secrets to success. And they are, success is liking yourself, liking what you do, and liking how you do it. So I decided to make that my game plan. I had to start by liking myself. I already knew I didn't like confrontational situations. But I decided that I needed to focus on what I did like and what I did do well, and stop beating myself up about the things I didn't do well. So as I reflected back on why I was conditioned to respond with fear, I realized that that same abuse gave me the capacity to have an extreme amount of empathy for other people who struggle, suffer, or are going through a difficult time in their life. So I decided to focus on that. Being empathetic towards people is what grounded me. It made me feel at peace. So I decided to focus on that. Once I liked myself, those other two, liking what you do and liking how you do it, those fell right into place. I decided to make empathy my sword. And by doing that, I was able to connect with people, my clients, and even a few defense attorneys. And because I was able to focus on the good aspect of me, I was motivated to go to work every day and focus on that. Lawyering for me became not just fighting insurance companies and their defense attorneys. It became giving my clients a place of comfort, that they knew they can come to me with their problems. And that in turn created more clients. So I started liking myself, and I started really liking what I do. I really love helping people, and that's what I do. I represent people who are injured, car accidents, anyway. If they're injured, I represent them at the fault of another party. And there are people who suffer from very serious injuries, and their whole life changes. It affects their family, their livelihood, And I can relate to that, and they feel that. So, in liking what I do and liking how you do it, they're kind of connected. Because I do that, I'm able to maintain a small practice. I call it a concierge practice because I do so much hand-holding, kind of like at Nordstrom's. I feel like I have a concierge practice. I can really help my clients one-on-one, and I am able to get good results for them. Also, in addition to that, I'm involved in a talk show on Spanish radio where I can reach out to the Hispanic community and inform them about the legal process and educate them. And I get calls from that, a ton of calls and a ton of cases. And I also get feedback, and I'm told constantly that I sound genuine and sincere, which is a huge compliment for a personal injury attorney. Most of them are out there, they're looking at the next dollar. So, for those of you wondering, I still use litigation attorneys. The nation has recovered from the recession. I recovered. I still team up with litigation attorneys, but instead of focusing on why I can't do what they do, I focus on the fact that now my client has a team of attorneys working for him or her. I'm there to do the hand-holding and to get them through that difficult process because litigation is very difficult. Way more for the client than it is for the attorney. And they have their bulldog who's going to fight for them and be aggressive and go kick some ass. So it works. And how does my story apply to all of you? All of the Toastmasters, the members that are here today, you joined Toastmasters because we want to improve our public speaking skills, right? You're nervous, I'm nervous. You come up here thinking, oh, am I going to bomb? But as you face that challenge, sometimes we focus on the wrong thing. And instead we should be focusing on the fact that maybe we're funny when we come up here, like Leo. Or maybe you're an awesome storyteller when you're up here, like David and Winston. Or maybe you just have awesome stage presence, like Dorothy. So focus on that, and I encourage all of you to look at Maya's words. Start by liking yourself, and that starts here. It starts with acceptance and a lot of soul searching. Second, like what you do. No, love what you do, because it's going to benefit you, and it's going to benefit everyone around you. And last, this will just flow. Love how you do it. Remember that you have something unique to bring to the table, and capitalize on that. Don't worry about trying to be someone that you're not. Mr. Toastmaster.